Hey everybody, this is Gamerator from the Game Coop, and today we're going to do something a little tiny bit different. I'm actually going to go over a Diablo 3 build. This is for Season 7, patch 2.4.2, which came out not too long ago. This is a build that's actually quite old. It's sort of an InnaWuko build. It's got some Sun Wuko pieces, the 2 set with, well, 3 set really, with Ring of Royal Grandeur, and the Inna 6 set, again, utilizing the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Um, and I really don't see a lot of builds around this set, even though it's kind of old, because it's not really very end game strong. But it's a really, really fun build, and so I wanted to sort of show it and see if some people might want to revisit it in Season 7. It's actually really, really easy to gear to still be viable. It's got a lot of really specific pieces, but in saying that, like almost none of my pieces are ancient, and I can still do Torment 13 sort of slowly. Torment 10, of course, is super easy. Around 50 to 60 rifts are pretty much no problem, depending on how you play and how strong you are. My gems are also garbage. Like, I don't even have my Bane of the Stricken up very high. They're like level 40, 50 in there. And as you can see, um, my rank is only like level 600-ish. So yes, yes, but we're gonna get to it. Don't worry about it. So I just sort of wanted to show off the gameplay, and show that it's still sort of a viable, fun sort of build. First, we'll go over the gear just really fast. Again, it has to be pretty specific, so building it initially might be a little bit tricky, but once you've got it, upgrading it over time is really not too hard. It does utilize the Cruise Boost because it is the Innis 6 set, so it's all based around the allies and their bonuses. So Crutus Boots basically is critical for this. Instead of a single Mystic ally, you'll have two, so it doubles all of the allies. And of course, for the 6 set, gain 5 ruined Mystic allies at all times. Your damage increased 50% for each Mystic ally you have out. That is actually doubled. So you now have 10, which is great, 2 of each. You really don't need the rest of the Inna set per se. I mean, all of it's great. Getting the mantras will only help you, and having the allies out again will only help you. You can switch out some of the skills fairly easily depending on your playstyle, but this is what I have found works sort of the best for me. And there's only a couple of these that you really, really need. And then we're utilizing the 4 set for the Sun Wukos, which is why you need the amulet, and then 2 of the pieces of your choice. Shoulders recommended, I think, because the Inna set doesn't utilize the shoulders, so that's pretty much required as well. But then the paws can be changed out for whatever piece suits your fancy that's left over. And that is, of course, the Sweeping Wind. And it's really kind of interesting because this becomes actually our sort of primary damage dealer. Is this every second it does 1,000 weapon damage for each stack of Sweeping Wind you have, and it's interesting because, of course, when everything all stacks together, it's sort of absurd damage. So let's actually go over the skill set really fast. I utilize Crippling Wave. You can change this out to a lot of different ones. I was using Fist of Thunder for some more mobility, and again, it's pretty much any of the types. Quickening is probably the best, but you can go with whatever you like. And then we have Cyclone Strike and Implosion. This is for gathering. This is pretty important. You're also utilizing Focus and Restraint. So using the Crippling Wave and Cyclone Strike sort of together to gather and then damage opponents will really sort of boost up the Sweeping Wind. Cyclone Strike also procs your Bracers, the Bindings of the Lesser Gods, which basically just increases the damage from Mystic Ally by 161%. Again, these are kind of crappy. It's only a tiny bit over the minimum roll. They are rolled to 5 skills though, so that helps out a little bit. And the amulet could probably also be rolled over to fire as well. But I have, again, sort of a crappy one. I'm working on increasing those. It'll just take time. Other skills, Dashing Strike. This is basically your mobility skill. I use Quicksilver just for the extra charge. I find that it's the easiest to sort of boost general speed. I don't use it that fast. Sweeping Wind is the critical skill for the damage dealing. This will actually stack up multiple times because of the cube. We'll go back to that in a minute. Inner Sanctuary, this is for a damage boost and damage mitigation. And then finally, Serenity. This is just for, again, sort of emergency healing. Well, not healing, but damage reduction. Fleet-footed for just general movement speed increase. Unity, because the allies actually count as other allies. So that actually gets a huge boost. Determination, since we're basically pulling all enemies to us, this will increase damage overall, and Alacrity just basically increases our general attack speed of Crippling Wave. These can also be swapped out. Alacrity can probably be a couple other things depending on your playstyle, but I definitely recommend at least Unity and Determination because those will seriously come into play once we actually get started. As far as the rest of the set, Inna's got to have the Diablo there and the belt. Those are required in order to get the 6 set. The helm, chest, and pants can all be swapped out to whatever else in the InnaWuko set if you don't have these particular pieces. But then, again, shoulders and amulet pretty much have to be those. And I recommend the Bindings of the Lesser Gods, but you can go with pretty much whatever you want here. You can go with some Nemesis bracers if you want, anything like that. So let's jump into, let's say, just on Torment 10, so we'll just do a quick Nephilim Rift. Again, this is more for like speed clearing, things like that, but we'll get a little bit of an idea of the playstyle. So here we go. Immediately you're going to want to hit Sweeping Wind and just sort of kill stuff. Pull them into you. Let's go kill these guys. It's just a fun playstyle. But since my gear and paragon level is not super high, you can see that the damage isn't tremendous, the speed isn't crazy. But it's still a fairly mobile, fun, controlling build that does decent damage and can clear relatively well. Oh yeah. As far as the, oh yeah, let's grab some blues real quick. Come on guys, all ya. There you are. Hello friends. Yeah, it's pretty tanky. Once the damage starts stacking up, or the Sweeping Wind starts stacking up, you can do some pretty good resistance. And reason for all this, let's go back to town really quick, is of course because of what we have in the cube, which sort of ties it all together. That would be the Ring of Royal Grandeur, of course, in order to get the remaining set pieces for that. But then we also have Lefebvre's Soliloquy, Cyclone Strike reduces your damage taken by 50% for 5 seconds. And since we're using the focus and restraint, we're basically Cyclone Striking every couple of seconds in order to keep that going. So this is just a flat damage reduction, which is really nice at the higher rifts. There's also Vengeful Wind. Again, this is pretty critical. In order to have the extra stacks on this one, it increases the stack count of Sweeping Wind by 7. So instead of just the 3 stacks of Sweeping Wind, you actually get 10 stacks of Sweeping Wind. And again, with the InnaWuko set, every second Sweeping Wind spawns a decoy next to the last enemy you hit and taunts the nearby enemies, and then explodes for 1000% weapon damage for each stack of Sweeping Wind that you have. So it's actually 10,000 weapon damage. I'm not exactly sure what type that is, whether it's like a pet damage or something like that, but it is elemental based on what you have. So again, fire just stacks with fire, so stacking that ought to do good. You can also get Sweeping Wind damage on the chest, one other piece I think it was, so it's recommended. Shoulders, there it is, to also have Sweeping Wind damage, as that's basically the primary damage dealer in this particular setup. You can really go with whatever you like, but that's what I recommend. So I guess I'll spend this extra paragon point. Again, paragons, I'm not super high, but you're probably going to movement speed to whatever your max is, and then the rest into dexterity. Vitality is not really very important because the survivability is probably the highest factor on this. The rest I recommend attack speed, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, not necessarily in that order. I'll probably go critical hit chance, damage, and then attack speed. Attack speed is not really that important. Cooldown reduction is totally unimportant. You don't need it at all. As far as the defensive tab, you're probably going to want to go to resist all, armor, life regen. And then area damage is probably the biggest thing for your utility. Area damage is very viable in this build, so you can actually stack that on a lot of different points because, again, you're basically doing that like a little AoE nuke every 1 second, so it's a good thing. Resource cost reduction is totally unimportant. Life per hit is probably your next for number 2, because since you're going to be attacking pretty quickly and using it fairly constantly, this will actually get you a lot of life regen. Gold find, again, totally unimportant, so you can leave that for last. And that's pretty much it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this. Found it sort of interesting and maybe try out this build for yourself. I think it's a lot of fun. If you did enjoy this video, please do leave it a like, and let us know if you'd like to see something else in the future. Until next time, keep on cooperating.